officer of BP. In his tenure at the head of BP, he took BP from being a second-string national oil company. A few years previously, it had been one of the Seven Sisters, but it had lost that status. It was pretty much a second-rate national oil company, and he took it to the 6th largest oil company on the planet. And he did that through aggressive acquisition. Primarily American companies, and his strategy was very simple. You buy an American company, particularly in the 90s, because these American companies had very significant expense lines dedicated to things like environment, health and safety, and maintenance. And what Brown was doing was, as he was buying these companies, he was getting BP accountants to strip out any expenses in their product and in their P&L statements, in their accounting, that related to health and safety, routine maintenance, or environment. So what was happening was, of course, artificially, these companies were appearing to suddenly show increased profits, which, of course, BP was claiming that it was due to its leadership. Well, this eventually comes home to roost. It comes home to roost with things like equipment failures, which result in major plant issues, which can result in environmental issues, which can result in injury and death. And the body count that Brown accrued in his tenure as Chief Executive Officer of BP is a body count that would make the Clintons blush. And that's saying something. Brown's mantra was, and in my opinion remains, profit above all else. His attitude was that, look, even if there's an environmental spill, or there's some injuries, or there's some deaths, then the costs of dealing with each of those cases individually is actually a lot less than the preventative costs that were being put into the accounts to avoid them happening. Profit above all else. Of course, the markets see the supposed increase in profits, which pushes up the stock price, so the market capitalisation of these companies increases, but it's all smoke and mirrors. Well, the body count certainly was increasing, because after Bush and Cheney came into office, then there was even less control over the US oil industry. So in 2005, despite the increasing calls for Brown to explain his strategy and to modify his strategy because of the magnitude of impact on environment and on the number of deaths, but it reached a crescendo at the end of 2005 with a massive explosion in a refinery in Texas City, just outside Houston, which resulted in the deaths of 15 people. And at that point, Lord John Brown realised that the market pressures now were going to be pretty significant, so he said, okay, I'm going to consider leaving. But not straight away. I'll leave in 3 years. And he was going to take the 3 years to groom his successor, a muppet by the name of Tony Hayward, who was totally out of his depth. And we saw Tony Hayward, of course, come into his forte in the aftermath of the BP Deepwater Horizon disaster. But Brown actually left before those 3 years were up. And the reason that he left had nothing to do with what was going on at BP. It was due to the Mail on Sunday running a double-page spread in early 2007, exposing some aspects of Lord John Brown which proved to be quite embarrassing. The first was openly exposing his sexuality. Now, no big issue there. It was probably the worst kept secret in the oil industry that he was gay. But Lord John Brown had been telling all his close associates that he had met his gay lover, a guy called Jeff Chevalier, whilst he was jogging in a South London park. The Mail on Sunday claimed that he'd met Jeff Chevalier from a gay dating website known as Booted and Suited. But it went on to claim that he was using BP's expenses, his BP expense account, to finance Jeff Chevalier's lifestyle, keeping him in a luxury London apartment, and then flying Jeff Chevalier all around the world to support him on his business travels.